On the 22nd of January 1994, Kevin Smith premiered his debut film Clerks at the Sundance Film Festival. The movie had a budget of around $27,000 and grossed over $4 million. The movie received critical acclaim and is considered by many to be one of the greatest comedies of the 90s. The movie is arguably most notable for the introduction of the iconic characters Jay and Silent Bob, played by Jason Mewes and Kevin Smith. After this movie, Kevin Smith went on to direct heaps of movies, most of which are part of a shared universe called the View-esque universe, all of which feature the characters Jay and Silent Bob. The universe features 9 movies, and in my opinion all of these movies are really great, apart from the cartoon one, but in my opinion the best movies in the series are Kevin's first 3 movies, Clerks, Mallrats, and Chasing Amy, or as they're also called, the Jersey Trilogy, for some reason. I don't know why, because most of the other movies he made also take place in New Jersey, but whatever. In this video, I'm going to be discussing my thoughts on Kevin Smith's Jersey trilogy. Starting off with Kevin's 1994 debut, Clerks, which follows the mundane day-to-day life of 2 convenience store workers, Dante and Randall. The movie was shot in black and white and doesn't really have a story at all, but that's what makes it so unique. The movie just has such a great style that nothing else really has, and these characters just feel so real, because they're just normal dudes having boring conversations about Star Wars and dicks and stuff, and it just makes them feel like your friends. Dante and Randall are played by Brian O'Halloran and Jeff Anderson, and they're both pretty great. They're not particularly breathtaking performances, but their acting is just casual, and it doesn't really feel like acting at all. Like, there's no point where I'm thinking, man, these guys are really great actors, because I don't really think about them as actors at all. They just feel like real guys. They're both just really charming and funny, especially Randall. He's just so funny. His whole thing is just kind of making fun of Dante and joking about sex and Return of the Jedi, and he very much feels like someone I can know in real life. It's not a mistake that he has the funniest lines in the movie. Kevin Smith was originally planning on playing Randall, but then he realized that he couldn't act, so he got an actor for it instead and decided to play Silent Bob. The side characters are fun too, mainly just because of the situations they're in. Dante has this big argument with his girlfriend because he gets upset that she
sucked 37 dicks in a row,
and she's mad at him for being mad, and it's just so dumb and really funny. Anyway, at the same time, he's talking to an ex-girlfriend of his and trying to get back together with her, and then she comes to the store and fucks the corpse of this dude who died while jacking off in the store bathroom because she thinks it's Dante, and it's just so fucked and twisted, but it's so damn funny, man. One of the things this movie is perhaps best known for is the introduction of my absolute goats, Jay and Silent Bob, played by Jason Mewes and Kevin Smith respectively. Not in the movie much, but damn, they're fucking funny. Obviously, Jason Mewes as Jay is super funny. Every line he delivers is said in such a funny way, and it's just like instantly memorable and feels like something some of my more annoying friends would have said. But Silent Bob is my absolute goat. Kevin Smith is so fucking funny with just his face and body, and despite the fact that he's just kind of meant to be Jay's muscle, he's arguably more noticeable. While they aren't in the movie much, they add so much to it, and it's funny when Silent Bob finally talks. And it's cool how he says like one sentence compared to nowadays when he just yaps at random times. But in Clerks, his line is actually pretty important. This is just such a well-made movie, and the low budget really adds to it. It's a 90-minute comedy film filmed in black and white for $27,000, and it really feels like it, but that really adds to it. It has this really cool, unique indie vibe that I really love. Overall, Clerks is so simple but so unique, clever, and genius. Not only is it an amazing movie, it's an amazing introduction to a great filmmaker and film series. Clerks ended up doing pretty well, all things considered, making $4.4 million against the $27,000 budget. Clerks also received critical acclaim, so Kevin Smith's next movie was sure to be a hit. In fact, when Kevin Smith screened his next movie, Mallrats, at San Diego Comic-Con, the head of Universal told him the movie would make $100 million. It nearly made $100 million. It made $2 million against a $6 million budget. Mallrats had a way higher budget than Clerks, but despite this, it ended up being a huge commercial and critical failure. Since then, Mallrats has gained a huge cult following, and it's kind of hard to see why the movie failed. Unlike Clerks, the movie did have a high-ish budget for a comedy, and it was made, by a studio with studio interference, and I think maybe people just weren't that interested in a Kevin Smith studio production. But the movie's so great, man. Mallrats isn't super interesting or groundbreaking like the other 2 movies in this video, but it's fucking hilarious. Mallrats is about 2 guys named Brody and T.S. who decide to spend a day at the mall after they both get dumped. This movie has an incredible cast. Jason Mewes and Kevin Smith are obviously back as Jay and Silent Bob, this time in a much bigger role, and it also stars people like the amazing Jason Lee in his first big movie role, as well as a pre-Good Will Hunting Ben Affleck as the villain. The movie also stars Jeremy London, Shannon Doherty, and Claire Filani. Like Clerks, the movie mainly just follows 2 guys hanging out and discussing things like sex and comic books. T.S. and Brody are both super great characters, played really well by their respective actors. The characters are super different, but complement each other really well. T.S. is a kind of anxious, introverted dude who just wants to get his girlfriend back after they break up due to his reaction of her overprotective father making her participate on his dating show. And Brody's a sleaze who's mad after his girlfriend leaves him for not doing anything with his life. And yeah, like I said, these movies are so different, but because of that, they create such a funny duo. They both start off as assholes, but they both kind of improve themselves over the course of the movie. Especially T.S., who is fucking unbearable at the start, especially in the extended cut. Jay and Silent Bob are really great in this movie. They have a much bigger role in this movie, and they absolutely kill it. Especially Jay, who is so funny and charismatic in this movie, and I think he actually outshines Silent Bob in this one, even though I generally prefer Silent Bob. Jay has like some of the funniest movie lines I've ever heard in this movie. The studio didn't want Jason Mewes playing Jay because he didn't have enough experience, and they like auditioned a bunch of actors, and they told Kevin, okay, we'll give this guy 1 day, but we're not paying to fly him out, and we're not paying for his accommodation. You have to pay for everything, and he gets 1 day to prove himself. But he proved that he was hilarious, so they kept him. One thing with this movie compared to the other two movies I'm talking about is that while Clerks and Chasing Amy were mostly independent movies that were very personal to Kevin Smith, Mallrats was the studio movie with a much bigger budget and no real point to it, and you could argue that hurts it. I wouldn't really agree with that, but I understand it. I think the movie has some of Kevin's funniest dialogue and characters though. The climax is super funny and memorable, and one of my favorite scenes from a Kevin Smith movie. Jason Lee really stands out during the whole thing. Mallrats may not be super thoughtful or interesting like Clerks and Chasing Amy, but it's so funny and unique, and my second favorite Kevin Smith movie behind Chasing Amy. Chasing Amy is a masterpiece in my opinion, although it has a complicated legacy. The movie follows Holden McNeil, played by Ben Affleck, falling in love with a girl named Alyssa Jones, played by Joey Lauren Adams, who happens to be a lesbian. She's not really a lesbian. There's a lot of discourse around whether this movie is super progressive or whether it's this homophobic male fantasy, and whether it was good representation or bad. And I have my own opinions on this, but it's not my place to speak, as I'm pretty sure I'm not a lesbian, and I don't want to take sides and make it seem like certain people's opinions aren't valid, because it's very complex. So I'll just say that I view this movie the same way that Kevin Smith does. Not as a movie about sexuality or anything, but as a movie about an immature man dealing with his insecurities in relationships and his immaturity ultimately ruining his relationship, which makes him evolve as a person. And it does that beautifully. Following the huge flop of Mallrats, Kevin got a lower budget for this movie. Miramax originally offered him $3 million if he made the movie with existing celebrities, wanting David Schwimmer, Jon Stewart, and Drew Barrymore to play the leads. Since Kevin Smith wrote these roles for his friends Ben Affleck, Jason Lee, and Joey Lauren Adams, who all appeared in Mallrats, he accepted a budget of $250,000 and the actors of his choice. And I'm sure the actors Miramax wanted would have done a good job, but the actors who are actually in the movie are incredible. Ben Affleck plays the lead of the movie, a man-child comic book artist named Holden McNeil, who created a comic book series called Blunt Man and Chronic about Jay and Silent Bob. And through his friend Hooper, he meets fellow comic artist Alyssa Holden, played by Joey Lauren Adams. Ben Affleck plays his role beautifully. His acting during the more tense scenes with Alyssa just feels so real and raw, and he just plays the role absolutely perfectly. I don't understand why everyone hates Ben Affleck. I think he's an amazing actor. I've tried to figure out why people hate him. I can't see a reason at all. But whatever. Jason Lee is just as good as this as he is in Mallrats. In fact, he was so good in these two movies that I ended up binging
My Name is Earl,
and it instantly became one of my favorite shows. Jason steals every scene he's in. He's just able to make every single line he says hilarious. Joey Lauren Adams is also incredible. I mean, the movie is literally based on her relationship with Kevin Smith, but I'll get to that later. Anyway, her performance is amazing. I don't want to be repetitive, but her performance feels so real and emotional. There's a scene where her and Holden argue about her past, and her sadness feels so palpable for the whole scene. It's easily one of the best parts of the movie. While Mallrats is the funniest Kevin Smith movie to me, Chasing Amy is the best. This movie is mostly based around Kevin Smith's real-life relationship with Joey Lauren Adams and his insecurities. Kevin Smith felt upset finding out about Joey's sexual past and thought that she was a so-called slut. But then he realized he just felt insecure because she had done so much more than him and he felt small. And that's exactly what Holden does to Amy in this movie. Silent Bob even delivers a super powerful monologue about it and is easily my favorite Silent Bob moment in the entire Viewersk universe and one of my favorite movie monologues ever. The conclusion is pretty funny. Holden's dumbass suggests that him, Alyssa, and Banky have a threesome because he somehow thinks that will solve his insecurity surrounding Alyssa, and because he thinks Banky is obviously in love with him. Throughout the movie, Banky is like aggressively homophobic.
Which one is going to get to the $100 bill first? The male-friendly lesbian, the man-hating Santa Claus, or the Easter Bunny?
The man-hating.
Good. Why?
I don't know.
Because the other three are figments of your fucking imagination!
but it's pretty obvious that it's just to mask his homosexuality and his love for Holden. I didn't really pick up on it that much the first time, but then on rewatches I realized he doesn't really show any aggression or hatred towards Alyssa when he first meet her, but then once Holden starts falling in love with her, he starts hating her and starts calling her slurs and stuff. Alyssa says no to the threesome thing anyway, obviously, and leaves him, and it's sad, and I like that. There are so many rom-coms where the guy's an asshole, but the girl still ends up forgiving him and continuing their relationship. And don't get me wrong, man, I love a shitty rom-com, but Alyssa and Holden not ending up together just feels so refreshing. Chasing Amy feels slightly random in Kevin's filmography. While his movies often have emotional scenes or messages, it's extremely unusual for drama to be the defining part of one of his movies. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still a Kevin Smith movie. It's full of conversations about dicks and vaginas and sex and comic books, but it also feels so sad and real and genuine and vulnerable. Yeah, I don't know. I love all these movies, and this movie is still as hilarious, but I love how real the movie feels. Excellent script, excellent acting, excellent characters, excellent movie. So yeah, I thought the script would take me like a week or two, but it took me 2 months because I always procrastinate and I never feel like writing. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't seen these movies, then I would definitely recommend them because they're all incredible. Anyway, thank you for watching. Bye bye.